guys, I haven't switched my location quite a while, so I thought I would mix it up a little bit. Today, the BookTube Club of August is brought to you from the fjords of Norway. Although the weather is quite sunny today, I wouldn't necessarily call it Mediterranean sunbathing weather, but that surely doesn't seem to stop the pale Caucasian people here at their overzealous or maybe desperate attempt of tanning, or what I like to call getting skin cancer. And since I'm basically on a giant floating hotel, there are quite a few things to explore and nook and crannies to find. And totally deserted places to read a book. And weirdly colorful cocktails to drink to one's heart's content. So the first book that I read this month was actually The Kiss of Deception. It has a horrible name and a horrible cover, but it's actually really, really good. I feel like Liz right now. Just I'm not as classy as her with her wine glass. So The Kiss of Deception is about a girl who is the first daughter of a kingdom, and she's supposed to marry the crown prince of another kingdom, even though she's never met him before and it's an arranged marriage. And so she decides to just flee on her wedding day, and the prince goes after her and an assassin gets sent after her, and she meets both of them while she's fleeing. But throughout the whole entire story you don't know who is who, so that's basically what drives the plot forward. What I do like is that the girl, she is not helpless even though she's been living a really sheltered life. She just has common sense, which apparently a lot of female characters lack these days. There's magic in it, which doesn't get explained very well. Which isn't actually a bad thing because it's supposed to remain mysterious and you're supposed to keep guessing, so it wasn't meant to be explained from the very beginning, which sets up a great story for the sequels, and I really want to read the sequels. The second book that I read this month was Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins, and oh my god, that book put me in a total reading slump because I just couldn't let go of it. I reread that book 2 more times this month, and I'm usually pretty harsh when it comes to YA contemporary, but this book series, Anna the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After, they're just so adorable, so heartwarming, and just couldn't let go. I actually went back and reread Anna and reread Lola, well, only snippet-wise, not the whole entire books. But I had an emotional meltdown. It was everything. It was probably my favorite book out of that series. You did a good job, Stephanie Perkins, and I really wish I could have a sequel. I want a sequel. Touching home base. So the next book that I read was part of a giant buddy read-along. It was called The August of Kings, and what do we read? We read The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and that book was so good. It's not like Mistborn, it's not like Brandon Sanderson's other works. It's meant to be, I think, either a 10 or 12 book fantasy series. And the first book has about 1,200 pages, the second book is equally as long. So it's going to be a huge epic fantasy series, and you can tell the world is so intense, so complex. There's, again, a really great magic system to it, and it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to read the second book. Kaladin and Dalinar and Syl, and that ending though, because Brandon Sanderson does the best endings, the best cliffhangers, and I really want to read the Word of Radiance. Words of Radiance? Yeah, Words of Radiance, but I don't have that book right now, which is why I settled for The Alloy of Law instead. I'm kind of also in a Way of Kings hangover right now. This is the month of fantasy and the month of book hangovers. So because instant gratification was the only thing on my mind, I decided to read The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson, which is actually a companion series to the Mistborn trilogy. It's very different though. It's very different from anything else I've read by Brandon Sanderson, because usually he sets up these great story arcs with a lot of characters. This one had a little bit of a mix of Wild West slash Sherlock Holmes slash Flintlock fantasy to it, and I really enjoyed it. It was very good, very interesting. Actually, not very fantasy heavy. I think it would have been a very good kind of introduction book for people who don't know fantasy, but the Only thing is that you actually need to read Mistborn in order to understand all the references, so it's kind of hard to start with. And I really liked how everything was incorporated to the Alloy of Law, everything that happened in Mistborn. Alloy of Law takes place a couple hundred years after Mistborn, how the legacy of the characters turn out to be. And the only thing that I don't know is who is the Lord Mistborn? Who is that person? I have no idea who they're talking about, but I really enjoyed it. Then I read Finnikin of the Rock by Melina, Marchetta, and that book was spectacular, and I still feel all mushy inside about it, even though there's absolutely nothing mushy about it at all. It's about a boy named Finnikin of the Rock, who is son of the captain of the King's Guard of a kingdom which no longer exists. He wanders from kingdom to kingdom trying to console the exiled people of his country, and this book has prophecies and magic and fate and destiny and everything that you can ask for. It is fantastic and I absolutely love it. I really like the writing style of this story, and the way the book is narrated is very unique. It has kind of a tale-like quality to it. The way the author describes everything, it makes it sound more like a fairy tale, a retelling of something than actually, you know, like a story in third person. I really enjoyed that because it actually gave the story a very ancient and archaic feel. That book was amazing. So I hope that was enough background changes for you. That was the BookTube Club of August, and yes, I read a lot of fantasy this month, but I really liked it. I'm currently reading Freud the Exiled, and I am loving it, and I can really tell that this book series, Luminaire Chronicles, I think, is definitely going to become one of my favorites. Tell me what you've read, tell me what you've enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye bye!